ili utukufu na sifa zako ziendelezwe, na ili kustawisha amani, ufanisi na heri ya nchi yetu, na wale ambao haja zao umezikabidhi mikononi mwetu. Amin. Now, can we start? There's too much noise here. Leader of majority and team. Leader of majority and team. We can start. We can start.
Order number 1, administration of oath. Order number 2, communication from the chair.
Now, honourable members, even as I make this communication, I am waiting for the correct data on how many members made their way into this chamber yesterday at between 2:30 p.m. and 4:30, because I intend to make that public. It is important because we are transparent and there's nothing. Those who come in, the Kenyan people have a right to know who comes in here and stands at the door, logs in, and goes back to the, I don't know whether to the members' bar or to the lobby room. Honourable members, I wish to draw the attention of the House to the publication of 3 bills proposing a legislative framework for public participation in legislative processes. These 3 bills are: 1, the Public Participation National Assembly Bill number 69 of 2019, which was published on October 2nd, 2019, and the Kenya Gazette Notice number 167 of 2019, and read the first time on October 29, 2019. This bill is sponsored by the Select Committee on Parliamentary Broadcasting and Library. Number 2, the bill titled Public Participation number 2, National Assembly Bill number 71 of 2019, which was published on October 11th, 2019, and the Kenya Gazette Notice number 170 of 2019, and read the first time on October 30th, 2019. This bill is sponsored by the member for Kiminini, the Honorable Chrysanthus Wamalwa. Number 3, the Public Participation Bill, Senate Bill number 4 of 2018, which has been which was referred to this House after passage by the Senate. This bill, which is sponsored by the Senator for Busia, Senator Amos Wako, was published on March 5th, 2018, under Kenya Gazette Notice number 17 of 2018, and read for the first time in the National Assembly on June 11th, 2019. Honourable members, you recall that I have since referred the Senate bill to the Budget and Appropriations Committee for appropriate recommendation as contemplated under Article 114 of the Constitution. On the other hand, I also referred the Public Participation National Assembly Bill number 71 of 2019 to the Departmental Committee on Justice and Legal Affairs for consideration pursuant to the provision standing under 127, subsection 1, relating to committal of bills and public participation. Honourable members, I wish to notify that the House, on 4th of November 2019, the chairperson of the Select Committee on Parliamentary Broadcasting and Library petitioned the Speaker to have the first bill referred to his committee on the basis of the fact that that particular bill was sponsored by the said committee. It is my view that the request merits my favorable consideration. In view thereof, and pursuant to the provision standing under 127, clause 6, paragraph A, I hereby refer the public participation, in brackets, National Assembly Bill number 1627, when considering the said bill, and thereafter report to the House as required. It is only then, honourable members, that the House will look at all the other bill by the Honourable Amalwa and see which one fits into the other and which can be subsumed by the other. I thank you, honourable members. You see, Honourable Emilio Odhiambo, you don't have to. Once I finish what I'm doing, I look at the interventions, and I can see you have done an intervention. So you don't have to shout. Proceed.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, thank you for the communication. I just wanted to get clarification, like in a case where you have 3 different bills pertaining to the said matter, whether there is a possibility of co-sponsoring a bill between a member of the Senate and a member of the National Assembly to fast-track certain bills, because the public participation bills that we are talking about, they may be similar in content or in principle, but very only with minor differences, maybe in terms of approach. I'm saying this, Mr. Speaker, because I also have a bill which is still waiting for the pre-publication processes, the reproductive health care bill, and I'm told there is possibly another one in Senate. So is there a possibility for purposes of fast-tracking so that we don't have committees going through similar bills at the same time that you have the bills co-sponsored? Maybe I missed it, I've not seen it in the standing orders, but I don't know whether there is a possibility of co-sponsoring bills. Thank you.
Honourable Emilio Odhiambo, you've raised a very pertinent issue that I have an occasion to suggest that there be a meeting between the technical teams serving the respective committees of procedure and House rules of the National Assembly and the Senate. And more particularly, because the Constitution is very clear in Article 109, Clause 5, as to which house, in which house monies, bills which have money bill effects may originate from. And I have suggested that to a number of Senate leadership to explore the possibility of co-sponsorship. But for that to happen, we need to work in conjunction so that we make concurrent provisions in the standing orders of both houses. Because there are some very, very, on the face of it, of course, prima facie, some bills that have come from the Senate which have been lost for the simple reason that they originated there, yet the Constitution is clear that if they have money bill effects, they cannot originate from there. But there may be bills that would help the country or serve the country good. So I'll be taking up the issue you have raised once again with, in fact, the clerks of both houses to see whether they can put together some proposals for consideration, perhaps jointly between the two committees. See how best we can handle the issue of co-sponsorship of bills. It happens in other jurisdictions, as you know. So thank you very much. It's a good point, but since it is not there, even if we allowed it here, and the other house does not allow it, then there will still be some friction. Yeah. Now, if the Honorable, the two members who are upstanding, if they could, if you could take some seats briefly so that I can make this other communication. Honourable members, the governments of the Republic of Kenya and the Kingdom of Denmark, in conjunction with the United Nations Population Fund, UNFPA, will be convening the Nairobi Summit on International Conference on Population and Development, ICPD 25. The summit will take place next week from 12th to the 14th of November at the Kenyatta International Conference Center, KICC, under the theme, Accelerating the Promise. The summit will mark 25 years since the 1994 Cairo International Conference on Population and Development, which articulated a bold new vision on the relationships between population, development, and individual well-being. Honourable members, organizers have informed us that invited guests include heads of states, ministers of planning, health, finance, education, and social welfare, parliamentarians, youth delegates, academia, and other state and non-state actors from around the world. Honourable members, as part of the main summit, Parliament of Kenya has been requested to co-host a parliamentarians forum in the form of daily 90 to 120-minute sessions to be conducted within the precincts of Parliament. These sessions will bring together members of Parliament from other countries participating in the summit for peer-to-peer sharing and deliberations. Indeed, the National Assembly will participate through the departmental committees on health, education and research, labor and social welfare, and finance and national planning, as well as the parliamentary caucus on the SDGs. The Senate will also participate. In view of the foregoing, the House Business Committee has considered and resolved to honor the request to co-host the parliamentary forum and therefore allow the use of the National Assembly chambers by the forum. In this regard, the leader of the majority party will be moving an appropriate motion seeking alteration of the calendar of the House for next week at a later stage during today's sitting. Honourable members, since the attendance is by formal accreditation, members who wish to attend may liaise with the aforementioned committees, or the SDGs caucus, which in this House is led by the Honorable Ochanda, for registration and accreditation. I thank you, honorable members. What's your point of order, majority?
Mr. Speaker, I agree with you, and this was decided in the House Business Committee. But Mr. Speaker, since last night, and I'm happy Honorable Chanda is here, who is one of our, I am hearing some very strange things that this group of parliamentarians wants to come and discuss. They want to come and discuss sex education, gays and lesbianism. Speaker, that is, and they are members of this House, Mr. Speaker, because their position is known on gays and lesbianism and intersex, they have been denied accreditation. And Honorable Shamala is one of them. So, Mr. Speaker, I want you to make it very, very clear, very, very clear to the teachings of the Holy Quran and the Bible. And I'm told out there, the Christians and the Muslims are up in arms. So, Mr. Speaker, we are a country that believes in the only one God. Denmark and these other people who are coming, they can discuss their issues outside. But, Mr. Speaker, if we have to alter the calendar and allow them to use our chamber, we will allow them to discuss matters on finance. We will allow them to discuss matters to deal with health. We allow them matters to deal with education and social welfare, youth, delegates, academia. But, Mr. Speaker, I want to go on record that this chamber, where each of the 349 members has been sworn in using the scriptures of Allah, Mr. Speaker, and I don't think there's any member here who is a gay or a lesbian. I am not aware. Mr. Speaker, you must make it very clear that Western ideologies, Western behavior, contrary to our religion, and Mr. Speaker, I am ready. They can even deny me visa. I am a true Muslim, a Sunni Muslim, a conservative, a very conservative Muslim. So, Mr. Speaker, this is information out there. This afternoon, I'm even told the Christians and the Muslims want to do parallel meeting. So, Mr. Speaker, I want you to make it very clear to the clerk and to the sergeant at arms that we will remove them by force if we hear anything to deal with the gay and lesbianism. And, Mr. Speaker, how come you want to use our chamber and you are denying some members accreditation? Speaker, Honorable Shamala is a good example. And I'm sure there are many other Muslim and Christian members. So, Mr. Speaker, we will allow the chamber to be used because all other parliaments, all other countries have allowed. But I think when you come to Rome, when you come to people's home, you must respect their culture, their religion, and the way of life. Mr. Speaker, you remember when former President Barack Obama came here, our president, Honorable Uhuru Kenyatta, told him on his face that this homosexuality you are talking about, it is not a priority. It's a non-issue and a priority for the people of Kenya. I want to say it here that Kenyan Parliament, the National Assembly, is a non-issue and it's not a priority, Mr. Speaker. And there's a member, if she can confirm on record, that she was refused because the matter we're going to be discussed, part of it is this issue, and they know her position, but little do they know that all of us, the 349, we
that liberal is positive and great, and conservative is dirty. And anyone who has been categorized in that group and has attempted to register for this conference is not able to register. I personally being one of these people. Members of Parliament who are currently not in the House, like the Honorable Chris Wamalwa, have been attending meetings that we have had with the the peace and justice officers here in Parliament. It is a fact that the inter-religious councils outside have taken great issue with this conference. It has been televised. The issues that they have taken issue with have been televised recently on a live debate. It is being couched in very politically correct language, inclusiveness, which we understand to mean the inclusiveness of lesbians and gays. Let us make it very clear that in this country, nobody is bashing them. They have equal rights like ours. I do not understand why it is that they now want to have rights specific to themselves. And it is a fact we have been denied registration. I can provide all the evidence. It is currently on my WhatsApp as we speak today. So I find it extremely ironical that after denying myself as a member of Parliament registration, they are now asking us to go and get accredited somewhere else.
Now, honourable members, because this is not business, but it's important that we no, don't say no. I've not finished. What is the problem? You want to say no to anything. You see, honourable members, I hear you, but maybe I need to hear a few more because I'm looking at the program, and since I'm scheduled to address them, and obviously you know my position on the issues that you've just raised. I may just take the advantage to tell them up front that this chamber cannot be used. Cannot be used to discuss matters to do with homosexualism, lesbianism, and other related malevolent. Yes, I mean we cannot allow that kind of things. Honourable Junet.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I happen to be one of the members who attended the House Business Committee yesterday when this matter was raised. And Mr. Speaker, I remember the same question I asked at the committee is the same question that is being raised here. That what is it about this meeting? Then you were told the Speaker will do a communication tomorrow. Now, Mr. Speaker, this is a very sacred place. You cannot come and discuss homosexuality in a house where we discuss issues of national importance, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, these Wasungus, these people who are coming here, Mr. Speaker, they must be very careful that this country has its own constitution, it has its own traditions, and it has its own culture, Mr. Speaker. And Mr. Speaker, it will be the worst thing that can happen that homosexuality, lesbianism, and gayism we discussed in the National Assembly chamber of the Republic of Kenya, Mr. Speaker. This place will be cast, Mr. Speaker. This place is going to become a problematic place. We will not hold any meeting again from here, Mr. Speaker. In fact, I am happy that they have reduced accreditation for some members, because otherwise we will not have known what the agenda is. It's even good that they have reduced accreditation for Honorable Shamala. Otherwise, we will have assumed that, can you imagine, Mr. Speaker, they want to be given space for 2 good days to discuss here gayism, lesbianism, and God forbid, Mr. Speaker. That should not happen. And Mr. Speaker, they can...
Mr. Speaker, for your communication. Mr. Speaker, just like my colleagues who have spoken ahead of me, Mr. Speaker was also in the House Business Committee. And we were a bit confused, even though we got the request that this chamber is going to be used. But we were a bit confused as to the real objective of this meeting. In fact, it was a very generalized comment about what they are coming to discuss. But Mr. Speaker, if it is coming out clearly that these people are most likely coming to discuss something that we don't agree to as a country, then, Mr. Speaker, the next question you want to ask is why allow them to come? As a matter of fact, Mr. Speaker, I think we need to write back to these people and demand that they tell us exactly why they want to use these chambers. Because, Mr. Speaker, I profess a faith. I am a member of the Seventh-day Adventist Church. And Mr. Speaker, you are, neither you, your wife, children, your servant, anything that belongs to you should be used on that particular day. Because if that happens, Mr. Speaker, even if you are not there, you will be part of the guilt. You will have committed a sin. And Mr. Speaker, if we allow our chambers to be used by people who talk about things that we consider to be satanic, then obviously, Mr. Speaker, we partake and we become, by association, members of that satanic grouping. And so, Mr. Speaker, my request is that since we are not clear about what these people are coming to do, and there are indications clearly by refusing to accredit some of us, that we tell them that if they don't come out clearly to tell us that they are not coming here to discuss issues of homosexuality, then we are not going to allow them to use these chambers, Mr. Speaker. We should not be ambiguous about it. We should just be clear and let them know that we are not ready to entertain such kind of discussions in this chamber. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Honorable Mutule Kigano.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The moment you allow this, you are going to open floodgates. And the next person to apply and to ask for permission to use the chamber will be the so-called bishops, Bishop Nganga, and other people to use the chamber. Mr. Speaker, this is a house of order, and this house is founded on law. Homosexuality is illegal. It is against the penal code. So, and this house, represented by you, epitomizes the obedience of the law. The moment you do this, Mr. Speaker, and I'm saying this with absolute respect and due respect to you, this is a ground for your removal. And I'm saying this, we will be
Sorry, I'm incapable of even taking threats from
I am not saying
the member for Kangema. Member for Kangema. You know, were you here when I read the communication? Because I think I need to read this communication again. Because it's like all of you are, you know, the house should not be addressed as if you are addressing a public baraza.
Mr. Speaker, I don't want to attack.
You cannot start telling me a ground for removal. Go ahead.
All that I'm saying.
The provisions are there in the standing orders. You cannot start it.
All that I'm saying.
I'm not that.
I'm saying. But all that I'm saying, you represent this house, you optimizes the law, and because it is illegal, homosexuality is illegal. The moment you are seen, the moment you are seen to be allowing this chamber to be used to perpetuate illegality, then, Mr. Speaker, our character stands at... Thank you.
No, honourable members, please, you know, we cannot transact business that way, as if we are, this is not Kichuchu Kitutu Church and North. Because you are not present. Let me read for the benefit of those who are contributing. But don't imagine that for one moment, I do not take notice of what has been said, and more particularly what the Honorable Shamala has said. But for avoidance of doubt, let me read this communication, the request that has been made to us, so that we can take a decision either today or allow ourselves further clarification, because if honorable members of this house seeking accreditation to attend that conference are being denied such accreditation for whatever reasons, then it is not even worth it considering a request to sit in this chamber. Because I always said that those people organizing and who will be participating at the KICC can deny members of this house, and then we allow them to come and sit in the same house. So, honourable members, it is for that reason that I thought I better read this communication once again, and then allow some of the members who are involved in the organization, like the Honourable Ochanda, because yes, so that he tells us, he makes his, you make his representation. He's the leader of the caucus. He's the head of the caucus. He can make his comments, but before we go to the procedural motion, then we shall have made a decision as to whether or not to consider the procedural motion now. No? So, now, I don't know. You know, it's like we are not in the. So, honourable members, let me repeat this communication so that, because many of you are not in, that like the member for Kangema, and the Honourable John Bandi was not in. So, honourable members, this is a communication. It regards the ICPD 25 Nairobi Summit and Parliamentarians Forum, November 12th to 14th, 2019. The governments of the Republic of Kenya and the Kingdom of Denmark, in conjunction with the United Nations Population Fund, UNFPA, will be convening in Nairobi, the Nairobi Summit on International Conference on Population and Development, ICPD 25. The summit will take place next week from 12 to 14 November at the KICC under the theme, Accelerating the Promise. Oh, no, just leader of majority, don't ask about which promise. The summit will mark 25 years since the 1994 Cairo International Conference on Population and Development, ICPD, which articulated a bold new vision on the relationships between population, development, and individual well-being. Honourable members, organizers have informed us that invited guests include heads of state, ministers of planning, health, finance, education, and social welfare, parliamentarians, youth delegates, academia, and other state and non-state actors from around the world. Honourable members, as part of the main summit, Parliament of Kenya has been requested to co-host a parliamentarians forum in the form of daily 90 to 120 minutes sessions to be conducted within the precincts of Parliament. These sessions will bring together members of Parliament from other countries participating in the summit for peer-to-peer sharing and deliberations. Indeed, the National Assembly will participate through the departmental committees on health, education and research, labor and social welfare, and finance and national planning, as well as the parliamentary caucus on SDGs. The Senate will also participate. In view of the foregoing, the House-Based Committee has considered and resolved to honor the request to co-host the parliamentary forum and therefore allow the use of the National Assembly chambers by the forum. In this regard, the leader of the majority party will be moving an appropriate motion seeking alteration of the calendar of the House for next week at a later stage during today's sitting. Honourable members, since attendance is by formal accreditation, members who wish to attend may liaise with the aforementioned committees or the SDG caucus for registration and accreditation. So, honourable members, that is the information that I have. Now, let's in this house, the Honorable Dr. Chanda denied accreditation. It's for that reason that one of us who may be better fast with these happenings is given a chance to explain to us before the rest of you make comments which may be uninformed. Yeah? Let's get the Honorable Dr. Chanda to speak to this issue of accreditation particularly, and also the issues being canvassed in the forum.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I was fairly well prepared for purposes of seconding a motion. 1 second. I was prepared for seconding a motion, Mr. Speaker, that was supposed to be moved by the leader of the business here. But this has come ahead of that time. And these are the things that I want to say very clearly, Mr. Speaker. The summit is on issues to do with population and development. And it's an international summit. It is from the last summit was done in 1994 in Egypt, Cairo, and it involved 79 countries. Kenya was one of them. So this is a follow-up meeting of what had happened 25 years ago in terms of assessing the impact, assessing the whole issues, that the commitments that were there. No, can I continue, Mr. Speaker? If they could bother to listen, maybe we'll get a headway. So this is really an international event. And what I need to make clear, Mr. Speaker, is that the people who are coming here, who have requested to come here, are members of parliaments. Members of parliaments of other countries. It is not a venue for everybody else to come in. That's number one. Number two, Mr. Speaker, you've mentioned very clearly in your communication that the accreditation is being done through committees. So if an individual member went ahead and started looking for how it could be registered or she could be accredited, I think the main thing is, from this communication, is very clear that there are committees of the House that are dealing with that issue. Today in the morning, Mr. Speaker, for purposes of preparation, we met our departmental committees here. Committee for Labor and Social Welfare, there was Health, and then there was Finance. So these are formal engagements that we have done for purpose of preparing for the meeting that is coming next week. So, Mr. Speaker, if you went on your own to look for accreditation, please reverse back so that we follow exactly what is in your communication. And again, the process of accreditation and registration is starting this afternoon for purposes of Parliament. So if somebody went a little bit earlier, it means that that was really, maybe she didn't know. But now that this is clear, what is going to happen, Mr. Speaker, is the request for purposes of members of parliament meeting in the chamber is that instead of members of parliaments of other countries meeting somewhere either on the sides of KICC, they requested that we can get to this chamber and engage with us. The whole issue are discussions on issues of development, issues of population, and issues of well-being of the people. So it is very clear. And Mr. Speaker, based on this, our Speaker of this House, the Speaker of the Senate are in it. They are involved in it, and the Speaker has mentioned already that if in the process of looking at these things, he finds that there's something unbecoming, like we have mentioned, he is at liberty and will go ahead and cancel or stop that process because it's part of that process. We are also saying that we are looking out for 50 members of this House. We are looking for 50 members of this House who are supposed to be with us throughout. So meaning that when the other members are going to be meeting in this chamber or elsewhere within the precincts of Parliament, we are also there. And we want to go with these sentiments that is being mentioned, Mr. Speaker, that if anything comes that we don't like, if anything comes that is not in our culture, we'll refuse. And I'm also with you, other members who are saying we cannot allow that to happen, Mr. Speaker. So that's the kind of a clarification I wanted to bring around, Mr. Speaker.
Professor Adur.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I'd like to indeed indicate that it is true that ICPD 25 is going to be a follow-up to Cairo. But Mr. Speaker, as I start, I would like to also emphasize that normally when we have international conferences, Mr. Speaker, we get international or world commitments, and then we usually get country commitments. It is from the perspective of the country commitment, Mr. Speaker, that I believe the earlier conversation by the Leader of Majority, the contribution, and Honorable Shamala was raised. But, Mr. Speaker, I rise as a member of the Committee of Culture, Sports, and Tourism. And, Mr. Speaker, anytime that we get to deal with international agreements, and if we come up with areas that could be seen to be offensive to cultures and contexts, we ensure, Mr. Speaker, that those who are engaged and who are participating along the line will look for the devil, which is usually in the details. And therefore, Mr. Speaker, it is my request that when we look at the committees that the Honorable Ochanda is saying were the committees that would then be the ones registering, that, Mr. Speaker, we cannot ignore the Committee on Sports, Culture, and Tourism, because a key concern with the international commitments, and Mr. Speaker, if we had more time, we would see that the reason why now 25 years later, the ICPD 25 is coming to go back on what they call the zero achievements. And Mr. Speaker, one of them goes contrary to our Constitution, in the sense that we are going to find that our Constitution does not allow direct access to abortion, except in a context where it is deemed that the mother's life could be threatened. And therefore, my submission, Mr. Speaker, is that because this is an international conference, and because indeed we in Kenya have had opportunity even to host in 1985 an international conference, we have lessons of how we ensure that we allow a conversation, we let global conversations take place, but we do have a very sensitive framework to allow national commitments to be sensitive to the culture, to be responsive to the context, and indeed not to contravene the Constitution. And so, Mr. Speaker, my submission and my request is that the Committee of Culture, Sports, and Tourism be one of the committees that would then be doing accreditation, because we can look through and we can see the extent to which we would bring a conversation that would protect our interests. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Honorable Emilio Odhiambo, let's hear somebody from this. Today, the Honorable Emilio Odhiambo is to the right of the Speaker.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for giving me the opportunity. Mr. Speaker, Honorable Junet wants to intimidate me by shouting that Honorable Millie supports lesbians or gays. Mr. Speaker, Honorable Junet knows me. Whether I support or not, I state my facts clearly for the entire world. So I will state my position very clearly. Mr. Speaker, I want to say this. I am a Christian, number one, and it can never change. Number two, I am a human rights activist, and those two cannot change. That I am both a human rights activist and I am also a Christian. And where the two conflict, I am a Christian. That never changes. And Mr. Speaker, having said that, I want to say that as members of Parliament, I have listened to Honorable Jennifer Shamala, and she has said that she has been denied accreditation. If indeed that is true, that is intolerance of the highest order. And I want to urge the organizers that it does not matter what the diverse opinions are. Let those diverse opinions go into ICPD and be heard. But, Mr. Speaker, we are also falling in the same trap. That the same way we are stopping Honorable Jennifer Shamala is the same way we don't want to hear their views. If we have different views, let us be tolerant. Let those who don't want gays and lesbians say they don't want them. Let those who want to say they want gays and lesbians say they want them and give their reasons. Let them cite the biblical verses and the Quran that
tumia madawa ya kulevya, nikaweza kupata safari ya kwenda nchi ya India. Nilipofika pale, kati ya wale walofika pale ni watu ambao kwamba ni wanakada. Na nakumbuka hivi, nikawapatia kauli yangu pale. Kwa sababu tulipofika pale, ile key population iliyozungumziwa, tulienda tukaona misago na makhanithi katika sehemu ya India. Kwa hivyo Bwana Spika, nataka tena kuomba hili jumba hata tusifikirie kamwe kuleta watu ambao nia yao na madhumuni yao ni kuweza kuleta kuzungumza yale ambao kwamba yanazungumzwa na yanajadiliwa katika nyumba hii, yatakuwa yameshushwa hadhi kubwa sana ikiwa tutaweza kuleta watu kutoka nje ya nchi hii kuweza kujaribu kuzungumza mambo ambayo kwamba ni ya kipuuzi, yenye kwenda kinyume na sheria ya Kenya, kwenda kinyume na katiba ya Kenya, na muhimu zaidi mambo ambayo yanaenda kinyume na yale maadili yetu tunayoamini sisi kama jamii na uaminifu wetu kama nchi na wananchi kwa Mwenyezi Mungu. Asante sana Bwana Spika.
Now, so you know, I think because there's even no motion yet. I think the leader majority moved. He stood on a point of order. He stood on a point. Are you saying he did not stand on a point of order? You see, this is a problem. This is a problem. And you know, this one was a speaker of some county assembly. How are you conducting business? Now, the leader majority stood on a point of order, and therefore, all what is being discussed now is trying to express yourselves on that point of order. Now, in my communication, I said that at some point later this afternoon, he was to move a motion. I don't know whether the leader majority does not want to move the motion or what's your point of order now, Honorable Junet, again? What?
Speaker, I want to give a way forward on this matter, Mr. Speaker, and I want the majority leader to listen to me. Mr. Speaker, having listened yourself to the conversation of members, Mr. Speaker, and their opinion, I would like to request the majority leader, Mr. Speaker, to step down the motion of adjournment. No, if you move it, then it has to be decided by members whether it will. Now, I don't want it to be moved. Mr. Speaker, I'm requesting that you do more consultation until tomorrow in the afternoon, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, yes, you do more consultation, Mr. Speaker, and the matter can come up. Mr. Speaker, I am requesting the majority leader to step down the motion for today so that we can discuss it tomorrow. Tomorrow we will tutangusha kesho. Mr. Speaker, you know, this is a matter, Mr. Speaker, that has both interests. It has the interest of the members who feel that there is gayism to be discussed here, and there is interest of the members. There is the interest of the members who are bringing those guests, Mr. Speaker, all the way from other countries here. So the two interests must be balanced, Mr. Speaker. I request you take more time until tomorrow in the afternoon, Mr. Speaker, when we can make an informed decision on the matter, on this matter. Mr. Speaker, you listen to what Honorable Milia said. You listen to what Ochanda has said, Honorable Ochanda. You listen to what Professor Odola said. You also listen to what ourselves we said who are opposed to it. Mr. Speaker, take your time. Let the matter be decided tomorrow in the afternoon.
The Speaker of the National Assembly and the Speaker of the Senate are involved. I want to say that I've only received a letter and some program which is here showing that I will be addressing. But the organization and involvement is really a matter. I've been invited to address several other fora, and therefore we know that there's a committee of this House, committees that have been stated to or shown to be involved. The Honorable Professor Duol now suggests that yet another one be included. But you know, this decision cannot be made until we get to the actual motion. We cannot make this, we can't make that decision until we get to the actual motion. So let's get to it. Let's get to it because there's nothing for us. Honorable Lagwal, watch. Please.
Mr. Speaker, I wish to address the House in 2 minutes. In the year 2010, in the 10th Parliament, I chaired the Committee of the Parliamentary Service Commission that was in charge of designing here to accommodate the new numbers that we are going to have. What came out of that committee, Mr. Speaker, was that this House is sacrosanct and sacred. It does not matter what those people are coming to discuss. What is important is Nairobi is a well-known destination for conferences in Africa. Why can't they have that meeting elsewhere? Why here? So that we don't have to discuss the pros and cons of what they're going to discuss. That's not for us. For me, what's important is this, Mr. Speaker. Why are we even contemplating adjourning our sittings to allow some other meeting to take place here? There are sufficient places in Nairobi which can accommodate the huge number of people. In my view, Mr. Speaker, that this morning when I opened my computer, Mr. Speaker, and I saw that there was going to be a motion by the leader of majority, I wondered why. And since that motion has not even been tabled, it shouldn't even be tabled. Let's go on with our business. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Honour members. Indeed, I think the leader of majority jumped the gun because he stood on a point of order after my communication and saying that he was shown on the order paper to be moving a motion. And I thought that's why during the moving is when he should have said the issues that he has said so that now you could have expressed yourselves. So I can see there are several of you who want to contribute. Let us allow us to get to the order. We get to the motion so that then and the House then is able to make a decision. As you would appreciate, the request was not made to the Speaker, the Honorable Junet. The request about the use of the chamber was not made to the Speaker. It was made to the National Assembly. And this House makes decisions through resolutions. So it is for that reason that after we received the request, we decided to forward it here. It's up to you to decide one way or other how to treat that request. So let's move to the next order. Next order.
Order number 3, messages. Order number 4, petitions.
Okay, honor members, those of you, if you... Honor members, as you are aware, understanding order number 225, clause 2, paragraph B, I'm required to report to the House any petition other than those presented through members. Further, under Article 119 of the Constitution, it is provided that the right for any person to petition Parliament to consider any matter within its authority, including petitioning the House to enact, amend, or repeal any legislation. In this regard, honourable members, I wish to report to the House that my office has received a petition from one Mr. Joseph Onyango Ogwondo, who hails from Embakasi Sub-County and is the holder of a national ID card number 283-73243, calling for the repealing of all laws relating to idle and disorderly persons. In this petition, honourable members, the petitioner highlights the harassment and tribulations faced by ordinary citizens that emanate from constant arrests by police officers under what he avers to be amorphous and ambiguous charge of being idle and disorderly. The petitioner claims that some police officers arrest slum dwellers and other jobless citizens on charges of being idle and disorderly but later upgrade the charges to being drunk and disorderly, while we are aware that such charges may never be practically proved in a court of law. Further, the petitioner laments that most of these unwarranted arrests occur on Fridays or towards the end of the month, in the obvious assumption that the arrested persons will utilize their incoming salaries or wages to secure their release from police custody. In addition, honorable members, the petitioner avers that the idle and disorderly laws were enacted by the British colonial government in a bid to contain and manage Africans, and as such are now both unnecessary and a contravention of Articles 36 and 39 of the Constitution with regard to freedoms of association, movement, and residence. It is on this premise, honorable members, that the petitioner seeks the intervention of this august House to repeal all laws relating to idle and disorderly persons, including Section 182 of the Penal Code, and to enact legislation to provide for release of idle and disorderly or drunk and disorderly suspects on free board upon being charged with misdemeanors. Honorable members, pursuant to the provision standing under 227, this petition now stands committed to the Departmental Committee on Justice and Legal Affairs, and the committee is requested to consider the petition and report its findings to the House and to the petitioner in accordance with standing order 227, subsection 2. I thank you. Honorable Ikaria, you want to comment on the petition? I hope you are not one of those ones who...
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. I'm in support of the petition, Honorable Speaker. It is true. But at the same time, Honorable Speaker, the Department of the Secretariat, the clerk, Honorable Speaker, I brought amendments to that effect more than 4 months ago to repeal the penal code and the section that has been mentioned in that petition. And this happens mostly in urban areas where people are arbitrarily arrested and, as he says, upgrading the same charges to something else. And I think it is important also when we bring this kind, because I had brought to the clerk's office for them to be able to do that, and I totally support the sentiment of that, and I hope the Committee of Justice and Legal Committee will be able to, and also my amendments should be brought before the committee. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Member for Nyando.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I rise to give great support to that petition, that there are certain draconian laws enacted by the colonial masters that have continued to siphon us our freedom and liberty in this country. But we also have to remember that before we completely reform the police force, which a while back he fell a victim and was properly clobbered by the same police force. And therefore, Mr. Speaker, I would want to support that, and would let us do whatever we can within our powers to ensure that we attain absolute freedom as a country, but not to be subjected to these draconian laws that have continued to undermine our progress as a country. And I thank you.
Sorry, we are through with the comments. Honourable members, allow me to recognize guests who belong to the Kenya Renewable Energy Association, sitting in the Speaker's row. They are Mr. Kamar Gupta, Chairman, Mr. David Jesse, Secretary, Mr. Patrick Tonui, Member, Mr. Con Peters from Netherlands, Mr. Wan Rab Kagwanja, Governor Korea, Convener of Kenya Renewable Energy Association, Charlene Wangui, Administrator, Ann Washera, Member, Engineer Samuel Wahome, Member, Engineer Otieno, member. Odhiambo Odamwa, member. They are all welcome to observe the proceedings. They have been holding sessions with our Energy Committee on matters of renewable energy. As you know, there is a bill that the committee has been considering, which is quite critical. Honourable members, I wish to make this communication as I promised earlier. As you are aware, honourable members, in the afternoon sitting of yesterday, Tuesday, November 5th, 2019, this House passed the Finance Bill, National Assembly Bill number 51 of 2019 for a second time, following referral by His Excellency the President in terms of Article 115, Clause 1, Paragraph B of the Constitution. Following that decision, my attention has been drawn to certain insinuations from members of the House and from outside the House. The statements are to the effect that, 1, sufficient notice was not given with regard to the day on which the President's reservations of the Finance Bill would be considered by the House. 2, members were not afforded sufficient time to lobby themselves to garner the threshold necessary to vote so as to reject the President's reservations of the bill. Honourable members, on the first claim, may I remind the House and the general public that Standing Order number 154, subsection 2 of the National Assembly Standing Orders requires the House to reconsider and conclude a bill referred back by the President within 21 days following conveyance by the Speaker of a message from the President to that effect. So as to refresh the minds of members, on Thursday, October 17th, 2019, I did convey to this House a message from the President communicating his refusal to assent to the Finance Bill, National Assembly Bill number 51 of 2019. Thereafter, I committed the President's memorandum containing his reservations on the bill to the Departmental Committee on Finance and National Planning for consideration. The committee considered the memorandum and tabled a report thereof last week on Tuesday, October 29, 2019. The committee recommended that the House agrees with the President's reservations, save for the amendment to insert a new clause with the import of saving existing loans from any negative effects of repeal of Section 33B of the Banking Act 2016. Honourable members, with regard to the claim of sufficiency of notification, you may recall that during the afternoon sitting of Wednesday, October 30th, 2019, the leader of the majority party, in a statement to the House under Standing Order number 44, 2C, regarding business for the subsequent week, notifying the entire House that the specific bill was scheduled for consideration on Tuesday, November 5th, 2019. As a matter of fact, the order paper for that particular sitting had a notice paper to that effect. My count of days indicate that the House and the general public had at least 6 days' notice of the coming up of the matter for consideration. Moreover, pursuant to Standing Order number 38, the Clerk of the National Assembly prepared and published on the Parliament's website the order paper for Tuesday, November 5th, 2019, on the evening of Friday, November 1st, 2019, being 4 days prior to the material day. Honourable members, as you may recall, you may all contend, it is a matter of public notoriety that both the print and electronic media have on numerous occasions highlighted that the matter would be coming up for consideration by this House on Tuesday, November 5th, 2019. I therefore find it to be absolutely inaccurate for any member of this House or even the public to claim that there was no sufficient notice regarding the sitting in which the House would consider the President's reservations on the Finance Bill 2019. Honourable members, with regard to the number of members who attended yesterday's sitting, I can confirm that the biometric register and the electronic login system indicate that a total of not less than 270 members were present at the sitting, coming in at different times during that sitting. Since at the time when I was ascertaining the threshold to make a decision on the memorandum was undertaken, there were only 161 members present. You agree with me that the die had been cast, given that there was less than the 233 members present, the others of the 270 having left the chamber of their own free will. However, as your speaker, I will not hasten to fault any member for not being present. I will not fault any member for not being present in the House to exercise his or her right to vote on any matter. Indeed, before proceeding to take the vote, I did order that a division bell be rung for 10 minutes so that any member who may have stepped out of the House would return and participate in the making of that decision. It is therefore untrue and incorrect that members do not have sufficient time to lobby internally, either themselves or be lobbied by whomever, with a view to garner the threshold necessary to vote so as to reject the President's reservation on the said bill, if that was what the House desired. However, honourable members, having said that, may I reiterate that the decision of the House on the reconsideration of the President's memorandum on the Finance Bill, National Assembly Bill number 51 of 2019, as pronounced by the Chair yesterday, retains the import that the House did pass the said bill a second time in a manner fully accommodating the President's reservations in terms of Article 115, Clause 2, Paragraph A of the Constitution. The House is accordingly guided, and the general public, to know the truth. I thank you. No, members, this was merely communication. There's nothing that, but the truth is there. The truth is out there. It is recorded. So if members come in here and then walk out, you know, they cannot blame anybody. Then today they go to TV stations and argue that they were not ever given time to. It is wrong. It is dishonest. It is dishonest. Some of those ones appearing on TV stations were not even here in the chamber. You see, you are not elected to go to TV station. You are elected to come to Parliament, to the National Assembly specifically. But if you think that you make your laws in TV stations, well, you can only blame yourself, honourable members. Let's proceed to the next order. Honourable members. No, not on that, not on that, not on that, not on that. Because this is factual. Let's proceed.
Order number 5, papers.
Leader of majority. Papers. Sorry, Honorable Murugara, on behalf of the Committee on the Delegated
Legislation on its consideration of the Political Parties Funding Regulations 2019, being legal notice number 143 of 2019 and laid on the table of the House today, Wednesday, November 6th, 2019, and pursuant to the provisions of Section 18 of the Statutory Instruments Act 2013 and Standing Order number 210, subparagraph 4B, announce Regulation 18 of the said regulations. Mr. Speaker, allow me to move the next motion. Honorable Speaker, I beg to give notice of the following motion. That this House adopts the report of the Committee on Delegated Legislation on its consideration of the Public Service Commission Regulations 2019, legal notice number 65 of 2019, laid on the table of the House on Wednesday, November 6, 2019, and pursuant to the provisions of Section 18 of the Statutory Instruments Act 2013 and Standing Order number 210, 4B, announce in its entirety the said regulations. Honorable Speaker, allow me to give notice of the following motion. That this House adopts the report of the Committee on Delegated Legislation on its consideration of the Private Security General Regulations 2019, legal notice number 108 of 2019, laid on the table of the House on Wednesday, November 6, 2019, pursuant to the provisions of Section 18 of the Statutory Instruments Act 2013 and Standing Order 210-4B, announce in its entirety the said regulations. And finally, Honorable Speaker, allow me to give notice of the following motion: that this House adopts the report of the Committee on Delegated Legislation on its consideration of the Value Added Tax Amendment Regulations 2019, laid on the table of the House today, Wednesday, November 6th, 2019, and pursuant to the provisions of Section 67 of the Value Added Tax 2019, approves the Value Added Tax Amendment Regulations 2019, legal notice number 86 of 2019. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Very well. Next order.
Order number 7, questions and statements.
Member for Lamu East, Honorable Sharif.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, pursuant to provision, Honorable Speaker, pursuant to Standing Order 42A5, I wish to ask the Cabinet Secretary for Transport, Infrastructure, Housing and Urban Development, could the Ministry consider dredging the Mkanda Channel and Kilindini Channel in Lamu County for ease of...
Question referred to the Committee on Transport, Public Works and Housing. Next question by the member from Baringo County, Gladwell, Jasira.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Where's the question?
Can we? You're not ready.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I'm asking a question number 474 of 2019 to the Cabinet Secretary for Water and Sanitation and Irrigation. Could the Cabinet Secretary explain the progress of construction of the Sakatia water pan in Koibaware village, Simon Ward of Baringo North constituency, whose construction by national government began on 12 April 2015 and is not completed to date? What measures are being put in place to ensure that the construction of the said project is completed without further delays, and how much money has been earmarked for the completion of the same? Noting, Mr. Speaker, sir, that there is a machine which is rotting at the place. Thank you, Mr. Speaker,
Question
sir.
is referred to the Committee on Environment and Natural Resources. Next question by the member from Malava, Malulu Ijedi.
I arise to ask question number 475 to the Cabinet Secretary of Education. Question 1, when is the Cabinet Secretary appointing a substantive Vice Chancellor for Masinda Muliro University of Science and Technology following the expiry of the tenure of the previous Vice Chancellor more than a year ago? 2, could the Cabinet Secretary explain why most persons holding positions of Vice Chancellor, Deputy Vice Chancellor, and the registrars in the university are in an acting capacity? Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Referred to the Committee on Education and Research. Last question by the member for Wudanyi, Dan Mwashako.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I rise to ask a question number 476 of 2019 to the Teacher Service Commission. When is the Teacher Service Commission pressing retirement benefits and terminal benefits lodged by Mrs. Rose Kambe Mwashinga, a widow of the late Rofus Wana Mugendi of TSC number 289808, who has been pursuing the retirement benefit and terminal benefits of Mr. Mugendi since 2016, and 2, Mr. Festus Mungambo at TSC number 003584, who has been pursuing his pension payment since 1999. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Question referred to the Teacher Service Commission to give a written reply. And that can be done within 10 days from the date of today. Next. Next order.
Order number 8, the Wakfu Bill, National Assembly Bill number 73 of 2019.
Will as many as of the opinion say aye? And as many of the court of opinion say nay? For clarity. Honorable Leader of Majority, I want to put the question that for clarity, Honorable Millie Odhiambo has withdrawn. She dropped, give Leader of Majority, but before Leader of Majority,
Mr. Speaker, you know, this is the problem with Kenyans. You give them a small half an acre, then they will extend it to an acre. But you know, the competitiveness is in the bill. It's in the bill, so what are we doing? So when I told the Honorable Millie to drop the whole of it, competitiveness is in the bill. The chair will tell you. No, it is there. No, it is there, even Otsosi. No, I have no problem, but so you have agreed with competitiveness because, you know, if it is in the bill, but let's even say it, will Public Service Commission, do you think Public Service Commission will not do a competitive recruitment?
I had not declared the results of the nays and the yes. Other members, for clarity, with that discussion, with the moving of the amendment on air, and for the record, members, I put the question, which is that clause 13 be amended as proposed by Honorable Millie Odhiambo. As many as have this opinion say aye, and as many as the contrary opinion say nay. There is have it. Members, you know, you are here and you know how we make laws. For clause 13, I put the question, which is that be amended by, as proposed by Honorable Millie Odhiambo. She wants to withdraw? Honorable Millie, you had withdrawn C. Can you be on record then withdrawing A?
Chair, I would want to tell the chair of the committee that actually there is no competitive, but because I'm on donated time, I will withdraw. But there is no competitive. That is a fact. There is no competitive. And sometimes, some of this might one day come to bite your own children.
Very well, on record that the proposed amendment by Honorable Millie Odhiambo on clause 13 is withdrawn. And I therefore move to put the question, which is that clause 13 as amended be part of the bill. Honorable members, will as many as of the opinion say aye, and as many as the opinion say nay? The ayes have it. Next clause.
Clause 14.
I propose a question, which is that clause 14 be part of the bill. We have an amendment by Honorable Shamala. Please move your amendment.
Chair, thank you. I rise to withdraw this amendment for the very reasons I have given under the issues with regards to part 2 of the bill. It was really the words of office and agency changes.
Now that your proposed amendment is withdrawn, members, I move to put the question, which is that clause 14 be part of the bill. As many as of the opinion say aye, and as many as the court of opinion say nay, the ayes have it.
Clause 15.
I propose a question, which is that clause 15 be part of the bill. Amendment by the chairperson. Please move your amendment.
Honorable Chair, I move that clause 15 be amended as per the order paper. Basically, this is to correct some typographical error. Yes, typographical error. These are errors in typing.
With that, yes. I propose a question, which is that clause 15 be amended as proposed by the chairperson, as he says, which is to remove the typographical error. No interest to speak to this. I want to put the question, which is that clause 15 be amended as proposed by the chairperson. As many as of the opinion say aye, and as many as of the opinion say nay, the ayes have it.
Clause 16.
I propose a question which is that clause 16 be part of the bill. We have an amendment, a proposed amendment, Honorable Jennifer Shamala. Please move your amendment.
Thank you, Chair. For the aforementioned reason, the reasons mentioned herein before, I rise to withdraw this particular amendment.
Proposed amendment to clause 16 by Honorable Shamala is withdrawn, and I therefore move to put the question, which is that clause 16 be part of the bill. Members, will as many as of the opinion say aye? And as many as the contrary opinion say nay? The ayes have it.
Clause 17.
I propose a question which is that clause 17 be part of the bill. Again, Honorable Jennifer Shamala.
Thank you, Chair. For the reasons herein before mentioned, I rise to drop this amendment.
Your proposed amendment is withdrawn, and neither of members move to put the question to clause 17, which is that clause 17 be part of the bill. Will as many as of the opinion say aye? And as many as the contrary opinion say nay? The ayes have it.
Clause 18.
I propose a question which is that clause 18 be part of the bill. Members, we have no proposed amendment to clause 18, and I therefore move to put the question which is that clause 18 be part of the bill. Will as many as of the opinion say aye? And as many as of the contrary opinion say nay? The ayes have it.
Clause 19.
I propose a question which is that clause 19 be part of the bill. Members, we have an amendment by the chairperson.
Honorable Chair, I propose that clause 19 be amended as by the order paper. Honorable Chair, this is to seek basically to clarify the provisions on registration and clearly set out that a certificate shall only be issued when the requirements of a registration are met, as well as to correct some typographical error. So I move that honorable members, you support this amendment by the committee. I move.
I propose a question which is that clause 19 be amended as proposed by the Honorable Chairperson. I move to put the question which is that clause 19 be amended as proposed by the Chairperson. As many as are of the opinion say aye. As many as are of the opinion say nay. The ayes have it. We have a further amendment by Honorable Millie Adhiambo, member for Suba North.
Thank you, Chair. Chair, I move that clause 19 be further amended by introducing a new subclause EA that provides provides for any measures to indemnify the data subject from unlawful use of data by the data processor or data controller, which is basically protecting you as a person if a data processor or a data controller uses your data wrongfully. So it puts the burden on the data processor or the data so that they don't use your information wrongfully.
That is the proposed amendment, and the Honorable Leader of Majority had okayed the Honorable Millie to move on behalf. Members, I propose a question which is that clause 19 be further amended as proposed by the Honorable Millie Odhiambo. I move to put the question which is that clause 19 be further amended as proposed by Honorable Millie Odhiambo. As many as of the opinion say aye, and as many as the contrary opinion say nay, members, the ayes have it. I put the question to the clause, which is that clause 19 as amended be part of the bill. Members, will as many as of the opinion say aye, then as many as the contrary opinion say nay, the ayes have it.
Clause 20.
I propose a question which is that clause 20 be part of the bill. We have a proposed amendment by Honorable Shamala.
I rise, thank you, Chair, to drop this particular amendment, as I am aware that the Leader of Majority will be proposing
Very well.
a subsequent amendment.
Your proposed amendment is withdrawn on record, so I give the Leader of Majority, you have a proposed amendment to clause 20. Please move your amendment proposed.
Chair, I beg to move that clause 20 be amended as provided in the order paper. And the reason is that the validity of a registration issued to a data controller or a processor should be decided by the need for that certificate. We don't want a situation where any Tom, Dick, and Harry can ask for a certificate. So this amendment of mine therefore seeks to provide that a registration certificate issued under Section 19 shall be valid for the period decided by or determined by the Data Commissioner, at the time of the application, after taking into account the need for the certificate. There must be a need. And the holder may apply for a renewal of the certificate after the expiry. So I'm only bringing the element of a need. You know, we have in this country, Madam Speaker, long time ago when I used to be a trader in commodity, and the COMESA rules, you're allowed to import sugar. Instead of giving a certificate to the really importers, they used to give it to brokers. So we don't want to have a situation where somebody is going around with a certificate and selling to an expert like Honorable Otsotsi, and he doesn't know what he wants to do with it. So that was just to making sure that we align to it. And then once you finish the period, then you can ask for renewal.
Very well. With that import, honourable members, I propose the question, which is at clause 20, be amended as proposed by the leader of majority, Honourable Duale. The Honourable Soti.
Madam Speaker, I think this is a very innovative amendment, and I want to support the majority leader on that, because you can imagine there are thousands and thousands of data processors and data controllers. So if we say that this office will be processing registration certificate after every 3-4 years, that will be their only work they will be doing. We need to make it flexible so that we don't have to keep on registering them. Yeah. And this is one of the issues that can be handled in the regulation.
No, let me have the member for Ariada.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Madam Chair, I think the reasons advanced by the leader of majority are noble and good, but it's for those very reasons that I do not support his amendments. Because you are introducing absolute discretion to the commissioner, and that can be dangerous because it can end up being a weekly thing, every 2 days, every 1 month. The idea of having some prescribed time brings some predictability and reduces the whim. That whim is what we are reducing by prescribing the time. And so for the very reasons advanced by the leader of majority, I would not support those amendments.
Let me get from the chairperson. Member for Marakwet.
Actually, Honorable Chair, I support Honorable Duale's amendments. What we agreed is there are those data controllers or data processors that they don't have to get a license. Say, when you go to every office, there are security officers who take your details, your ID number, your telephone number, and then you're allowed in. You know, those are that.
Or the officers of parliament who are in charge of the ICT or the systems to ensure that the systems are well. I don't want to speculate and say that exactly. I think they are working on it. And the members, we are not in threat. We've already ordered the security to ensure that all is well. I think the systems.
Opposed to these amendments by Honorable Shamal.
We are already moved from that amendment.
Madam Speaker, maybe it won't be of that, but I need you to give direction because this is a substantial amendment. Because if you say you want.
But you know the procedures of the House. You've already passed that proposed amendment. So you know the procedures if you want to do.
But I want it to go on record, Madam Speaker. I know we passed it. That this is a fundamental amendment. Because you are going to stop companies from processing.
Honorable, you cannot rule us on procedure. And I'm telling you, you know the procedure. If you want to recommit, you know, you read your standing orders. Honourable members, we have a proposed amendment, a further amendment by Honourable Millie Odhiambo, which has been okayed by the leader of majority to move on behalf.
Thank you, Chair. I'm glad that the majority leader is advising Honourable Tsotsi. If he thinks that what we have moved is fundamentally defective.
As any data, if you put so much restriction on data processing, it's already implied obligations of data processors and data controllers. And that is why, Madam Speaker, I am hesitant to support that amendment, and even the early amendment by Honorable Shamala.
But, Honorable Shamala, you're out of order. You're out of order. You don't shout. You can address him through the chair. Honorable Soti, you are on record not supporting the further proposed amendment by Honorable Emilio Odhiambo?
Yes, on the basis, if you look at it from a technology
Very
point
well.
of
If you
view.
said yes, yes. I give it to the chairperson.
We want, Honorable Chair, from what Osotsa just said, I wanted to convince Honorable Millie to drop this amendment because we had agreed earlier. You know, there's a different view that Osotsa has said. If earlier you had given consent to your data to be collected, and there's need for that data to be transferred outside the country, you don't have to consent, because if it will be used for the same purpose outside the country, it means basically we are going to raise a lot of restrictions, and eventually people will go to court and they will not be able to implement this law. I remember there are many amendments that were brought sometimes last year by the Security Committee on Computer Misuse and Cybercrime Act, and then eventually 26 clauses of the bill were drawn out by the court. So Millie, maybe, because these are the experts, we are beseeching you that you agree to withdraw the amendment.
Let me hear from Honorable Member for Arianda, Dr. Otiende Amolo.
Thank you. I want to join the chair and Honorable Sosi, and we'll be discussing with the chair later his support for some early amendment. But on this, I agree with him. And I want to persuade the Honorable Emilio Odhiambo, purely from the perspective of the reality. And the reality is that in this country, even when it comes to elections, we oftentimes engage with parties outside the country. And therefore, the data of the voters of this country end up going outside the country. What is emphasized in H is that there ought to be sufficient protection, which I agree with. But if we add the word "and" instead of "or," then you can imagine getting the consent of every voter. It might be impossible. So I want to persuade my sister that on this, although the intention is noble, it might create practical problems. Thank you.
This was your proposed amendment. Are you persuaded, please?
Chair, I am not actually persuaded, going by the provisions of the same bill. Actually, I'll drop it because we'll still have an opportunity to discuss further and bring an amendment. But I think it's actually not in tandem with the spirit of the bill on protection, especially of data that goes out, because elsewhere in the bill, it talks about consent for data that goes out of the country. So I was just using the same spirit.
Very well. The further proposed amendment by Honorable Emilio Odhiambo is dropped or withdrawn. And members, I therefore move to put the question, which is that clause 25, as amended, be part of the bill. Will as many as of the opinion say aye? And as many as the contrary opinion say nay? The ayes have it.
Clause 26.
I propose a question, which is a clause 26, be part of the bill. Honorable Shamala, you have a proposed amendment?
Thank you, Honorable Chair. I stand to drop that amendment because the words and the proposed amendment was superfluous.
The proposed amendment, Honorable Shamala, on 26, clause 26 is withdrawn. And members, I move to put the question, which is that clause 26 be part of the bill. As many as are the opinion say aye. Honorable members, you know, we can only take a vote on any clause for us to be able to, for it to be carried. I put the question on clause 26, which is that clause 26 be part of the bill. As many as of the opinion say aye, and as many as of the opinion say nay, the ayes have it.
Clause 27. Clause 27 and clause 28.
Members, I propose a question, which is a clauses 27 and 28 be part. Yes, I propose a question, which is a clause 27 be part of the bill. Honorable Millie Odhiambo, you had been okayed by the leader of majority to move on behalf on to a further
Yes,
amendment.
Madam Speaker, I propose an amendment to clause 27. 27B, which is to delete the word physical. And Madam Speaker, it provides that a right conferred on a data subject may be exercised where the data subject has a physical or mental disability by a person duly authorized to act as their guardian or administrator. Chair, I'm just wondering, why would somebody like, for instance, my sister, Honorable Denita Gatti, require a guardian or administrator? Yeah, or Honorable Tim. Because physical disability does not inhibit anybody in any way, but the mental I do understand. Physical I do not understand, unless the committee could actually explain what they intended. But physical, because this is a right conferred on a data subject, may be exercised. So it means if in this instance we are like the data subject. My sister Honorable Denita Gatti is a data subject. That they can only exercise that right through a guardian or an administrator. How?
Very well. Propose a question, which is that clause 27 be amended as proposed by Honorable Millie Odhiambo. I give the floor to member for Garissa Township, Leader of Majority.
Chair, physical is possible. You know, you have only given us Honorable Danida Gatti. What about if your hands are off? No, you need, how will you sign? I'll even give you a good example. What about if you lose your eyesight? So yeah, you need. And you remember your governor, your own governor of Homa Bay, a few months ago, had a guy working with him everywhere to read for him, to check. So I think physical is not that just, I think physical can come in many ways that can inhibit the person, the subject, and allow him to carry administrator. So I think, because we cannot say this is physical. I think it's only a medic who can tell us. So I think I really want to ask Honorable Millie, we are lucky because we don't have physical and mental ourselves. We can use anything, but I think I'm sure there was a purpose why physical disability cuts across many things. Mental we can understand, but physical disability is also serious matter. So I really want her to drop that.
You are requesting to drop, and of course, Leader of Majority, you had allowed Honorable Millie Odhiambo to move on behalf. The title did to move. Can I have member for Arianda? Honorable Millie Odhiambo, you want to?
Thank you, Chair. On this, I support the amendment because if we look at clause 27, we should read it together with clause 26. What are those rights of the data subject as who disentitled somebody from accessing because of a physical disability? And if you look at those rights that are captured, the kind of physical disabilities we talk about, including the example given by the Leader of Majority, may not really apply.
Or other disability. So that if you have a disability where you can't actually operate, then now you need a guardian or an administrator. Because a guardian and administrator have very specific legal implications.
Very well. Now that you're in agreement with the owner of the bill, the Leader of Majority, honourable members, with that, I put the question, which is at clause 27, be amended as proposed by Honorable Millie Odhiambo. Will as many as of the opinion say aye? And as many as the opinion say nay? The ayes have it. I put the question to clause 27, which is that clause 27 as amended be part of the bill. Remember, will as many as of the opinion say aye? And as many as the opinion say nay? The ayes have it. Chairman, your members are not attentive.
Clause 28.
I propose a question which is a clause 28 be part of the bill. Members, we have no proposed amendment to clause 28, and I therefore move to put the question, which is that clause 28 be part of the bill. As many as are of this opinion say aye.
To ensure that the rights of data subjects are protected and that security measures are taken into account by data controllers and processors to ensure the integrity of data collected. Basically, as you collect the data from a data subject, the data should be accurate, and and if there are any data that's not correct, the data subject will be allowed from time to time to also ensure data is updated. So I propose.
I propose a question, which is a clause 29B amended as proposed by the chairperson. I put the question, which is a clause 29B amended as proposed by the chairperson. Honourable members, will as many as of the people say aye, and as many as the contrary say nay, the ayes have it. I put the question to the clause, which is at clause 29 as amended be part of the bill. As many as of the people say aye, and as many as the contrary say nay, the ayes have it.
Clause 30.
I propose the question, which is that clause 30 be part of the bill. Honorable Shamala, you have a proposed amendment?
Thank you, Chair. I rise to move the amendment that the word natural, which had been erroneously omitted, be inserted immediately after the word another appearing in subparagraph 3 of clause 30, and to be in accordance with the interpretation part of the bill that describes what a data subject is.
With that, I propose a question, honourable members, which the clause 30 be amended as proposed by the Honourable Jennifer Shamala. The feeling of the House, the mood is that I put the question. Members, I put the question, which the clause 30 be amended as proposed by the Honourable Jennifer Shamala. As many as are of this opinion say aye, and as many as the contrary opinion say nay, the ayes have it. I put the question to the clause, which is that clause 30 as amended be part of the bill. As many as of this opinion say aye, and as many as the contrary opinion say nay, the ayes have it.
Clause 31.
I propose a question, which is that clause 31 be part of the bill. Honourable Chairperson, please. move the
Honourable
amendment.
Chair, I propose that clause 31 be amended as on the other paper. Honourable Chair, this is to ensure there is need for the Data Protection Commissioner to set out the types of processing operations that will require data impact assessment. Secondly, setting up of timelines on when data impact assessment reports, so that we don't expose our citizens to risks. I propose.
I propose the question, which is that clause 31 be amended as proposed by the chairperson. I move to put the question, which is that clause 31 be amended as proposed by the chairperson. As many as of this opinion say aye, and as many as of contrary opinion say nay, the ayes have it. I put the question, which is that clause 31 as amended be part of the bill. As many as of this opinion say aye, and as many as of contrary opinion say nay, the ayes have it.
Clauses 32, 33, and 34.
I propose the question, members, which is that clauses 32, 33, and 34 be part of the bill. We have no proposed amendments to this, and I therefore move to put the question, which is that clauses 32, 33, and 34 be part of the bill. Will as many as of this opinion say aye, and as many as of contrary opinion say nay? Or members, the ayes have it.
Clause 35.
I propose a question, which is that clause 35 be part of the bill. We have a proposed amendment by the chairperson.
Honourable Chair, I move that clause 35 be amended as per the other paper. Basically, we are correcting typing error on this particular clause, Honourable Chair, and I propose that I move.
I propose a question, which is a clause 35 be amended as proposed by the Honourable Chairperson. Honourable Rono, did I see you wanted to speak to this? Oh, very well. Osoti, you want to? I move to put the question, which is that clause 35 be amended as proposed by the chairperson. As many as are of the opinion say aye, and as many as of contrary opinion say nay, the ayes have it. I put the question to the clause, which is that clause 35 as amended be part of the bill. As many as of this opinion say aye, and as many as of contrary opinion say nay, remember the ayes have it.
Clause 36.
I propose a question, which is that clause 36 be part of the bill. Members, we have no proposed amendment to clause 36, and I therefore move to put the question, which is that clause 36 be part of the bill. As many as of this opinion say aye, and as many as of contrary opinion say nay, members, the ayes have it.
Clause 37.
I propose a question, which is a clause 37 be part of the bill. We have proposed amendment by the chairperson.
Honorable
and-
Chair,
Yes.
I move that clause 37 be amended as per the order paper. Basically, this is to justify, Honorable Chair, that we are saying when data is used for commercial purposes, the data controller or data processor should ensure the identity of the data subject is concealed, so that, especially when they are doing marketing. So I'm saying for direct marketing, while the new provision is, the current proposal was making reference to direct marketing, while the new provision is seeking to ensure that data used for commercial purposes, which is much broader than direct marketing, if properly secured. So we are saying anything to do with commercial should not identify the data subject, should be made as pseudo. I propose.
I propose a question, which is that clause 37 be amended as proposed by the chairperson. Honorable Soti, you want to speak to this?
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I support this amendment because, as the chair has said, the clause 37 makes reference to direct marketing, but this one is very broad, talks about all forms of commercial data.
Honorable members, I now propose a question that clause that. Yes, yes, there's one more member who wants to speak to this.
I heard the commercial aspect, Honorable Chair, but I didn't hear the individual aspect. Is that captured in that? Or is it captured in other clauses? Okay. I sub.
Very well. Honorable members, I now put the question that clause 37 be amended as proposed by the chair. Will as many as are of that opinion say aye? Will as many as are of the contrary opinion say nay? The ayes have it. And now, there is Honorable Jennifer Shamana. Yes, you have the floor. Yeah, you are some force in light that the other one is carried. Yes, now that the chair one is carried. Very well, honorable members. I now put the global question. I now put the question that clause 37, as amended, be part of the bill. Will as many as are of that opinion say aye? Will as many as are of the contrary opinion say nay? The ayes have it.
Clauses 38, 39, and 40.
Honorable members, I propose a question that clause 38, 39, and 40 be part of the bill. There are no amendments to that. I now put the question that clause 38, 39, and 40 be part of the bill. Will as many as are of that opinion say aye? Will as many as are of the contrary opinion say nay? The ayes have it.
Clause 41.
Honorable members, I propose a question that clause 41 be part of the bill. Honorable Chair, you have an amendment?
Honorable Chair, I have an amendment on clause 41. I move that clause 41 be amended as on the order paper. Honorable Chair, we are saying, adding subsection E, that the cost of processing data and the technologies and tools used. Basically, we are saying it's imperative to have in mind the cost and technology that will be required in processing data, so as, because we are saying the cost of storing data. You need big servers. So when it comes to the data commissioner, when you say a particular data controller, data processor, to give particular...
I want to support that, Honorable Chair. The world is moving very fast, and issues of data need to be actually disposed as soon as we are done with. So I support the amendment.
Very well. Honorable members, I now put the question that clause 41 be amended as proposed by the chair. Will as many as are of that opinion say aye? Will as many as are of the contrary opinion say nay? The ayes have it. I now put the question that clause 41 as amended be part of the bill. Will as many as are of that opinion say aye? Will as many as are of the contrary opinion say nay? The ayes have it.
Clause 42.
I propose a question that clause 42 be part of the bill. No amendment to that. I now put the question that clause 42 be part of the bill. Will as many as are of that opinion say aye? Will as many as are of the contrary opinion say nay? The ayes have it.
Clause 43.
I propose a question that clause 43 be part of the bill. Honorable Jennifer Shamala, you.
Thank you, Chair. Chair, I rise to drop this particular amendment for the following reasons. In hindsight, I have realized that indeed the time limit set could be extremely punitive, and issues with the limits of time can be adequately addressed in Part 10 of the bill under provisions of delegated legislation through regulations.
That in the circumstances remains withdrawn. I now put the question that clause 43 be part of the bill. Will as many as are of that opinion say aye? Will as many as are of the contrary opinion say nay? The ayes have it.
Clauses 44, 45, 46, and 47.
I propose a question that clause 44, 45, 46, 47 be part of the bill. No amendments to that. I now put the question that clauses 44, 45, 46, 47 be part of the bill. Will as many as are of that opinion say aye? Will as many as are of the contrary opinion say nay? The ayes have it.
Clause 48.
I propose a question that clause 48 be part of the bill. Honorable Chair, you have an amendment.
The Honorable Chair, I propose that clause 48 be amended as per the order paper. Honorable Chair, we are proposing this amendment to ensure we make it very clear in the law, as well as to set out jurisdiction with the commensurate data protection laws during trans-border or transfer of data across out of Kenya. So this is basically for the data controller, the data commissioner, to ensure data that is transferred, there is safeguards, there is security for this particular data. So I move.
I propose a question that clause 48 be amended as proposed by the chair. I put the question that clause 48 be amended as proposed by the chair. Will as many as are of that opinion say aye? Will as many as are of the contrary opinion say nay? The ayes have it. I now put the question that clause 48 be part of the bill. As amended be part of the bill. Will as many as are of that opinion say aye? Will as many as are of the contrary opinion say nay? The ayes have it.
Clauses 49 and 50.
I propose a question that clause 49 and 50 be part of the bill. No amendment to that. I now put the question that clauses 49 and 50 be part of the bill. Will as many as are of that opinion say aye? Will as many as are of the contrary opinion say nay? The ayes have it.
Clause 51.
I propose a question that clause 51 be part of the bill. Honorable Chair, you have an amendment.
Honorable Chair, I propose that clause 51 be amended as on the order paper. Honorable Chair, we are substituting the word public order, which is basically so-called with public interest, because this is a product concept which encompasses an interest as well as a common concern among citizens in the management of local and national affairs. Honorable Chair, this is also to mandate public bodies seeking to retrieve data necessary for national security and public interest to secure ex parte orders from the law courts before retrieving such information to safeguard the rights of data subjects against background abuse. So basically we are saying we substitute the word order with interest, and also if there is some data that the public bodies say needs and the others, so even the courts, they go through the court to get data from the data subject. I move.
Honorable members, I propose a question that clause 51 be amended as proposed by the chair. I now put a question that clause 51 be amended as proposed by the chair. Will as many as are of that opinion say aye? Will as many as are of the contrary opinion say nay? The ayes have it. I now put the question that clause 51 as amended be part of the bill. Will as many as are of that opinion say aye? Will as many as are of the contrary opinion say nay? The ayes have it.
Clause 52.
I propose a question that clause 52 be part of the bill. Honorable Majority Leader.
I beg to move that clause 52 be amended as provided in the order paper. This amendment just seeks to ensure that there's a proper code of practice specific when processing personal data for the purpose of literature, art, journalism, so that we remove quacks from those industries, so that we know this particular data to journalism, to literature, to art is known and is given by the, that code is given by the what is it called, the director or the controller of data. Data is given by the data commissioner.
Honorable members, I propose a question that clause 52 be amended as proposed by the Majority Leader. No, yes, Honorable Sossi would like to speak to this.
Chair, I think these amendments is well captured under clause 74, which is basically the role of the data commissioner to issue guidelines or codes of practice for data controllers, data